mentioned this invitation that summer gives you, and I think this is such a beautiful way of thinking about summer, that it gives you, it sends you an invitation. And that invitation is to just play, to slow down, to enjoy your life, to enjoy the moment, to let go of routines and productivity and be a little carefree. And like any invitation, you get the choice of saying, yeah, I'm going to go, but I'm only going to stay for a bit. Or, yeah, I'll be there this day, but not this day. Or, yeah, I'll be there, but I'm bringing my kids. You get to qualify how you answer that invitation.
Welcome to Breakthrough Mode, the podcast where we intentionally get into the driver's seat of our lives, shift out of monotony and mediocrity, and step on the gas towards becoming the person we were always meant to become.
Hello, and welcome to episode 270 on the Breakthrough Mode podcast. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me and pushing play on today's episode. Today, we are starting to wrap up our week on our summer shift and grounding ourselves so that we are prepared to have the best summer we possibly can. And of course, that doesn't just happen by accident. It happens intentionally. So this week we have been chatting about all of the things that are So this week we have been chatting about all of the things that are going on under the surface emotionally that can make us feel apprehensive, have some nervous energy around going into summer. There's a lot of excitement about what we could do, about all of the free time, about this huge block of time that we have, especially if you've got kids that will be home for the summer. We have this feeling of relief, like, hallelujah, we're not going to have the schedule. Like, we won't have to be at the school at 8:30, and I won't have to pick you up at 3:30, and we won't have the drive home, and it won't be this, and it won't be this, and it won't be rush, and it won't be pressure, blah, blah, blah. So there's that relief portion, right? Then there's this overstimulation bit of like, there is so much going on. And if your house is like my house during the school year, my house is very quiet. And when the kids are home, the house is very not quiet. And there's demands and interruptions and all of this. So this is a very overstimulating time. We can even experience some grief over the lost structure. We can experience some anxiety over disrupted routines. We can experience a lot of pressure about making the most of summer, about, doing something magical or meaningful, or, just making sure that the kids are having fun and that everybody's happy. We can have some guilt around not being as productive as we quote unquote should be, or not getting things done, or whatever. We can have this desire for slowness, even alongside of this guilt of productivity. So all of these emotions are available under the surface. There's probably a few that conflict because summer brings in this heightened tension of fun and productivity. And sometimes it feels like, we can't have both. We can either, do all the fun things with our kids and our friends and our family, or we can shut ourselves up, pretend the sun isn't shining, and get things done. And honestly, that's not how it needs to be. It starts with acknowledging that summer is different. Summer has a different energy. Like I said, whether or not you have kids at home, you're going to experience this different energy and this invitation that summer just naturally extends. Summer offers you a different capacity, and it gives you the opportunity to have different priorities for the season. So I've mentioned this invitation that summer gives you, and I think this is such a beautiful way of thinking about summer, that it gives you, sends you an invitation. And that invitation is to just play, to slow down, to enjoy your life, to enjoy the moment, to let go of routines and productivity and be a little carefree. Summer extends that invitation to you, and we feel that. We feel that energetically. Maybe before you haven't really named it, which is why I think that this week is so good that we're naming the experience, the emotional experience. We're naming the tension between, we've got these desires that conflict. We're naming this invitation that summer is extending to you. And like any invitation, you get the choice of saying, yeah, I'm going to go, but I'm only going to stay for a bit. Or, yeah, I'll be there this day, but not this day. Or, yeah, I'll be there, but I'm bringing my kids. Or whatever. You get to qualify how you answer that invitation. And no answer to that invitation is wrong. No one is going to be mad about how you choose to answer that invitation. And just as I'm saying that, I can hear my kids being mad about not taking them to the pool or to the park or whatever, because I'm choosing to answer that invitation differently. But what I'm saying is that summer isn't going to be mad about how you choose to answer that invitation. And your kids being mad, I mean, they just gotta, mine at least, they gotta figure it out, because I know that I will create a summer that is good for them and is good for me. And this is the point of these 3 weeks, is to really create a summer that works for you, works for those around you, that honors this season and honors you. We don't have to go through summer and feel like we're losing ourselves and feel like we abandoned what was important to us or any of that. We don't have to treat summer that way, as an all or nothing. I'm either fully in on what I need and want, or I'm fully at the service of everyone else and this carefree, this unscheduled, or this planned every moment vibe. This is intentional creation. So I went off on a tangent a little bit, but summer gives us that invitation, right? And we still want to get things done. We still want to be productive. We still want to be responsible. We still want some structure to rely on, because structure feels comfortable. We like knowing what's next. We like knowing what's coming. So here's how we navigate this. You start by deciding what matters most. And most of my audience is made up of good hearted, thoughtful, caring, considerate people who, when they consider what matters most, they naturally consider those around them and those that the choices will impact. So this isn't necessarily like what matters to you personally and only you. This means what matters to you as you, like as you in your role of being a human, of being an individual, and of, being a mother if you are one, or being a spouse if you are one. What matters in the scope of the whole summer? So, of course, when I think about what matters to me, I think about the podcast. I think about, well, of course, I'm going to be recording all throughout the summer. That's a non-negotiable. And I'm thinking about, where can I fit in play dates? How often can we get to the pool? When should we go to the park? When can we get to the splash pad? When can we do a food truck dinner night as a family? I'm thinking about the whole thing, answering the invitation of summer and acknowledging what matters to me, acknowledging the personal priorities, the summer invitation, the memories that I want to create with my kids and with my family, the summer events that I want to attend. I get to decide, and you get to decide what matters. And maybe this is something that you can make as a family activity, right? That you can all sit down and bring together what matters to each of you so that you can be sure to hit all the highlights, hit all of the important things. To really boil things down to what matters most, you need to run it through 3 filters. The first one is, does this come from pressure? Pressure to look good, to be a quote unquote good mom, to fit in as much as you can as possible, to fit in with your friends, to have something cool to post on social media. Does this thing, this piece in the schedule, this event, this play date, this whatever, does this come from pressure? And if it comes from pressure, then it needs to be a no, because you're not going to create a summer that feels good if you are acting out of pressure. Now, I will say there is a back door to that, because there might be a mom that reaches out and wants to set up a play date, and I might feel the pressure to say yes, to go along with it, to just be part of it. Even if I initially recoil, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I might feel that pressure. So the back door is this. Even if I initially feel pressure to say yes, I can get myself on board, go and do it from a place that feels good by focusing on what that will mean for my girls. What would it mean to them for me to say yes to this invitation from another mom? And then it feels less like pressure and more like, okay, this is something that I can do for them. This is something that will be meaningful and fun for them. And I can get on board with that. But doing something purely from a place of pressure needs to be a no, because you can't create a summer that feels good if you are constantly involved in things out of pressure. That just doesn't feel good. The second filter is, will this feel good to have done, focused on, maintained all summer? So when I think about the podcast, sure, there's going to be days where I don't necessarily want to do the podcast. Like I'd rather go to the pool. I don't really want to record. And when I zoom to the end of August and I think back on the summer, so mentally, right? If I take myself on a mental trip to the end of August and I think back on summer, will it then have felt good to have maintained the podcast all summer long? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. Absolutely. It will feel so good to have maintained the podcast. It will feel so good to have maintained my early morning routine. It will feel so good to have still gotten up early and exercised. It will feel so good to continue a meditation practice. All of these things that in the moment I may not necessarily feel like. Like I told you, summer gives you the invitation for slower mornings. I don't know what it is about summer, but it's like, hey, sleep in, chill out. There's nowhere you got to be. And for me personally, I know that I will actually be way better off and feel so much better if I don't give into that particular invitation. And that is truly me speaking about me for me. I'm not ever going to tell you how to structure your summer. I know what my early morning ritual does for me. And so I know that it's in everyone's best interest if I continue. And if you choose to answer the invitation to sleep in and have slower mornings, I love that for you. And there's a part of me that is so jealous. So there you have it. Okay. The third filter to run everything through, all of your invitations, all of the options, all of the events. The third thing to run it through is the filter of, will this feel fun, exciting, good to do? Like in the moment, will I love that I'm doing this? Will I love that we're there? Will I love that we took the time to do that? Will that feel fun, exciting, good to do? Now, if it passes through these filters, if it's not coming from pressure, if it will feel good to have done, if it will feel good to actually do, then that's something that you should really plan out, put on the calendar, schedule, make a priority. You know that this matters and it matters to you or it matters to your family. You know that this is a thing that matters and deserves your time, your attention, your energy. A big part of the emotional stability and peace of summer comes from knowing what matters. And then, of course, acting in alignment with what matters. Because summer is full of all the opportunities. You've got events, you've got friends you can go out with, you have family that you can meet up with, there's vacations you could plan, there's cool summer things you can do, there's all sorts of things. It is limitless. And sometimes that limitlessness feels overwhelming. But when you know what matters, or when you have a system to decide what matters, like the filtration system I just handed you, when you know what matters, then you can make appropriate decisions that you feel confident in, and that will bring you some summer peace. I mentioned that summer gives you the invitation to slow down. And with that invitation, it also gives you a gift. And this gift is the opportunity to create a new summer rhythm. And we are going to get into this new summer rhythm next week a lot more. But I wanted you to start feeling into that now. It's not necessarily about balance, it's about aligning your actions and what you choose to do with what matters. Of course, I will be in your inbox tomorrow with some prompts to help you stay emotionally grounded as you transition into summer. And then we will be back on Monday with our second installment of our summer shift theme. Thanks for joining me today. I totally love you. Bye for now.